What is up, guys? Nick here, helping you to master your technology. Galaxy S10e versus iPhone XR full comparison. Now, both of these do offer a very different design in terms of the front. So the S10e gives you a little cutout. It's a circular hole at the top of the display, and you have a notch on the top of the iPhone XR. Now, some people like the symmetrical look of the XR. Some people like the more all-screen kind of feel of the S10e, as it's just a little cutout. Now, you will notice, no matter who you are, how much thicker and bulkier the iPhone XR feels over the S10e, which is a much sleeker feeling device. It's more akin to Apple's iPhone XS than the iPhone XR, and it's a much lighter body as well. So if you like a compact featherweight phone, the S10e is kind of similar to that of like a Pixel 3, for example, where the XR, you're going to feel that phone in your pocket. It's over 190 grams, to be quite honest with you. So I do like the S10e's compact nature. It's just really comfortable to use day to day. But the iPhone XR, if you're that type of person who thinks a heavier phone is more substantial, feels more premium, then you'll like the XR more than the S10e. So there is an argument for both sides of these phones when it comes to how they feel in the hand. But for me, I think the S10e just feels like just more impressive, more technology in a lighter, more compact feel, but still feeling premium at the same time. I got to give this round to the S10e. Now, talking about display, the S10e's cutout is up in the right corner. You can see Samsung has cleverly hid the wallpaper. The notch cuts in a little bit of the XR. We'll talk more about that later, but one thing you'll notice right away is how much sharper the text is for the S10e. It's a really sharp resolution in comparison, 1080p on a smaller screen, and then we have the iPhone XR, which is a little bit higher than 720, but gestures here on the Galaxy S10e give it a more of an iPhone feel as well. And when it comes to watching videos and media, the Super AMOLED, well, the Dynamic AMOLED, excuse me, is just a lot more vibrant than the LCD panel you're going to see on the iPhone XR. You can pinch a zoom and you can see the hole does get in the way a little bit, and there's a little bit of a chin there, or you could say just a small bezel on the S10e. But overall, the quality of the panel itself is just fantastic. It's plenty bright enough. It's very natural and tuned very accurately. Probably the best panel Samsung has done in this year's Galaxy S10 series phone so far. We might see a better panel on the Note, but for now, these are the best you're going to get for a Samsung phone. Overall, just fantastic quality for this S10e. The iPhone XR with its LCD panel is not anything to look at and say that's a horrible screen. As much as people like to look at specs and paper, in reality, the iPhone XR has some pretty good viewing angles with its IPS in-plane switching technology. It gets plenty bright enough, as LCD has been known to be easy to see in direct sunlight. It also has True Tone, which you're going to find on every other Apple product out there. And don't expect the sharpest display. At 326 pixels per inch, this is actually the same resolution that was on the iPhone 4 from years ago when Steve was still around. So this is definitely not the sharpest display out there. Many phones have advanced, and its competitor, the S10e, is way ahead when it comes to how sharp the display is. But the iPhone XR has a very smooth display. Again, it just feels ultra smooth when using it. So I think you can get over, the display resolution after using this for quite some time. I don't think it's going to bug too many people here. But what I did notice in my comparison between these two is that just the display quality when watching a video is inferior for the XR. It just doesn't look quite as vibrant as the Galaxy S10e. And for media heads, you definitely want the S10e here, because this cuts into the content a little bit more, the notch, than that little cutout for the Galaxy. And I find the display, even though it's bigger, it's just not as enjoyable to watch video on as the other one, because it doesn't have deep blacks, and the bezels are a little bit thicker on the iPhone XR as well. So in comparison, if I had to pick one of these just on the merits of display, if that's one of the most important things to you, you definitely want the Galaxy S10e. By comparison, I found it to just be the better overall panel than the iPhone XR. But that's not the only thing that we're going to talk about here when it comes to these two phones. Let's get on to the next section, and that is software. So Android 9 Pie on the left with One UI layered on top. Samsung has their experience over the Android experience, so it's kind of a mixture of both. You have the best of Google services, the best of the Play Store, mixed over with Samsung's theming, Samsung's features, And really, they both have about the same type of apps, but the apps on the iOS platform still look a little more polished than that on the Android side of things. But it really comes down to this: customization, and again, customization, because if that's what you want, the Galaxy S10e has it for you with the theme store. It also can do a lot more customization with the App Store or the Play Store on the S10e. The AirDrop feature for iOS is just really hard to beat though. So if you like transferring files between Apple devices, it's really hard to beat that for the iPhone XR. But iOS itself, just a secure platform that gets updated all the time and is rather boring with just its grid of icons, versus the S10e with many customizations and just making it your own. Also, multitasking for the S10e by comparison has been much more enjoyable. You really can't multitask on the iPhone XR. You can only single task. You can look at one app at a time. The night mode also should be coming to the iOS 13, but for now, if you bought this today as of watching this video, the Galaxy S10e has the better system when it comes to a dark mode. Yes, you can go in accessibility and put on smart invert. That's not a true dark mode like the one on the S10e. The iPhone XR has silky smooth software that should last, but the S10e is for those who want to customize their devices. Performance: the Snapdragon 855 7nm chipset and 6GB of RAM across a 5.8-inch display S10e with Android 9 Pie One UI. You get the picture. This thing is fast. I don't care what you are doing, gaming, opening up applications, swiping through the system. This is not your Android of 10 years ago. This thing is like super quick. Now, it's still not as, I would say, smooth feeling as the iPhone, but it's still very smooth and it's still very fast. And apps seem to even open quicker than that of an iPhone. So if you want a quicker feel, you want the S10e, but if you want a smoother, more, pleasing to the eye animation, you're definitely going to want the iPhone XR because it does that better. And the iPhone XR with its Apple A12 7nm and probably better game selection is going to be an excellent phone for those of you who do like to game. It has great battery life for that as well, and just really a really rock star performer even with 3GB of RAM. I wouldn't pick either just on the basis of performance here, but it does seem like the S10e takes more advantage of its performance than the iPhone XR, as the XR doesn't do anything like multitasking and it doesn't have that system that is as complex as the S10e. But overall, really, they're both just excellent performers. I wouldn't pick either on the merits of just performance, but if you want smooth, get the XR. If you want quicker looking apps, get the S10e. So when it comes to biometric security, the S10e gives you a side-mounted fingerprint sensor, which is also very nice. It's pretty quick actually. Once you set up a couple fingers, the thing works well. It's not going to be the favorite probably for lefties because you're going to have to wrap your index finger around to open that if you're a left-handed user, but the iPhone XR gives you a much more secure face unlock as the S10e drops the iris scanner. So if you're into face unlock, authenticating with your face, there's no other pick but the XR when it comes to biometrics. Also, you can of course open your phone with a passcode as you've been able to do for a decade here with the iPhone, but the Galaxy S10e has a side mount. You have a face unlock for the iPhone XR. It really just comes down to what you prefer. Now when it comes to camera, dual camera here on the S10e with a wide angle versus a single camera on the iPhone XR. Now you can see just how wide that angle really does go for the S10e, and it makes it really fun. Also in video, the S10e has something called super steady mode, which is like really stable video. However, it's not as sharp as the primary camera. So if you're in low light conditions, you're indoor, you might not be able to get as much things in focus. You need really good light to get everything in focus with the super steady camera. However, it's just a really fun camera to use here on the S10e and offers tremendous value from the camera standpoint on this phone. The iPhone XR gives you a single 4K smart HDR camera, and while this is an excellent camera, it's still pretty simple. It's still pretty similar to your past iPhone experience with just better overall image quality. So you'll be familiar with this. If you've had an iPhone before, it'll be very familiar to any iPhone 7, iPhone 8, but the results do turn out significantly better. You can't do portrait mode with objects, only in people. So if you want to take portraits, you have to use people. Now the front-facing camera, skin tones I think are a little bit better for the iPhone XR, but you do have a much wider angle. So if you want to get more people in the shot, you will like the Galaxy S10e. So it's kind of got a wide on the back and on the front for the S10e. So I like the S10e for the fun factor of these two cameras, and I would pick the S10e if I wanted a better camera phone because it just has more useful features than that of the 10R. The 10R has a faster shutter. It has probably an easier to use camera, getting good shots without having to know how to use it. But the S10e just offers more for the same money than the iPhone 10R. Now, when it comes to audio, the Galaxy S10e offers you dual speakers. You have one at the bottom, one at the top. You also have a headphone jack, which is very useful if you never got rid of those old headphones and use a 3.5mm headset jack. The 10R, no headphone jack, just like, was introduced with the iPhone 7. You do have dual speakers on here as well, top and bottom. These also work very well with AirPods. You might want to get some if you have an iPhone 10R. Galaxy Buds are available for the S10e, but they're not as necessary because you have a headphone jack. But if you do get them, they do work well. I find the audio experience better on the S10e for the money because it's dual speakers, Dolby Atmos, Galaxy Buds are cheaper. It's just a better value when it comes to this audio experience than the one on the iPhone 10R. Moving on to battery life. The iPhone 10R is something of a charm when it comes to using this phone for battery life. It's very impressive. As a matter of fact, this thing can easily get through a day, for some stretching into middle of 2 days. Now, the S10e is a 1-day phone. It will easily get you through if you're a medium user. Super heavy users might be needing a charge by 9 o'clock p.m. on the S10e, but the S10e is loaded with more tech features such as wireless power share, for example. In addition, the S10e will offer you up fast charging in the box, something that the iPhone 10R skips out on. So from a value standpoint, charging is better for the S10e, but actual battery usage I find to be better on the 10R. So moving on to phone call quality, I have a clear winner here. After using both of these for an extended period of time, the S10e has shown me better signal strength. Now, I live in a major metropolitan area, so the 10R has been pretty good as well. It hasn't dropped calls or anything like that, but still, I have a reassurance with the S10e that I'm going to have better signal strength no matter where I go. So I do like that feeling with the S10e. So I'm giving it the win there. Now, when it comes to storage, it's really no contest. The S10e double the base storage at 128 gigs versus 64 gigs for the same price with expandable SD card memory, which just blows away the iPhone 10R. Samsung Pay is also a better payment system in my experience than Apple Pay because Samsung Pay works in more locations than Apple Pay. Apple Pay is getting a lot of retailers on board now, or a lot of retailers are getting on board with this, but Samsung Pay has rewards for just using it. So that's another benefit of using Samsung Pay, but Apple Pay is stepping up. I still think Samsung Pay is a little bit better. Now, price point, they're going head to head at $749.99. They are exactly identical when it comes to the price point, which is one of the main reasons why I compared these today. In conclusion, which is the better phone for $749? Now, from a phone standpoint, I think the S10e is a better phone than the iPhone 10R because we're looking at two pieces of hardware here. Now, when it comes to longevity, resale value, and software, I do think the iPhone 10R still reigns supreme here. But the S10e, if you're just going to keep a phone for a couple of years, the S10e will stay fast. It'll get a couple updates. It's not going to get as many updates as the 10R, but it'll stay pretty modern, pretty fast, and give you a sleeker, more fun to use camera and just awesome tech features while not sacrificing much of the benefits that the iPhone 10R gives you. So I'd pick the S10e if it was me here between these two from a value standpoint. But they both have their pros and cons, and I would like to know, which one do you guys think is better here between these two? Is it the Galaxy S10e or is it the iPhone 10R? This is my full comparison between these two. If you guys found this video helpful, entertaining, informing, do me a favor, click the like button for me. If you're new here, consider subscribing for more. Be sure to be well, and peace.